All right, we're recording now. All right, I'd like to welcome you to the Dred Scott podcast. It's me, your host, Dred Scott, and I'd like to introduce you to my grandfather, who's my namesake, Dred Scott. Say hello, Grandpa.
Amen. Hello.
All right, Grandpa, let's get into your interview. So, Grandpa, to start your interview off, let's let people know who you are. Like, tell people about yourself. Like, what year were you born and where were you born at?
Uh, my name is Dred Scott Phillips. I was born in Texas in a little town called Clarksville in Red River County in January 1941. I attended public school there in Clarksville.
All right, Papa. What's the earliest memory you have from your childhood living in Clarksville? Like, what was it like living in Clarksville in your area?
Well, it was just like living in a village, so to speak. If you are familiar if you're familiar with that concept, a lot of poor people, a lot of hard work, working on farm work.
Is that what your
And
family did? Was working the farms?
yes, that's all that was available.
Were they sharecroppers?
No, well, sort of. You could say we rented a small plot of land, and then did do some sharecropping, on a small scale.
Okay. Would you say growing up that one of the things that you learned more or lacked most was a lack of economics on how money was made and how to spend it correctly?
No, because there wasn't no economic base in Clarksville, especially for the downtrodden poor class, other than working on farms, somebody else's farms, and so forth for meager wages, like chopping cotton for 40 cents an hour. You had to work 10 hours a day to make $4.
Mm.
So making $20 per week, chopping cotton. Then when it come time to pick the cotton, you'd get 2 cents a pound. If you was picking it, that was $2 a hundred. You have to get 100 pounds in order to get $2. They take a half cent off if they're gonna pull it. That pulling cotton means you don't pick it out of the little bowl. You pull the bowl and all, and allow the cotton gin to separate it. But they would just pay you $1.50, a dollar and a quarter for 100 pounds. So it'd be a penny and a quarter, a penny and a half per pound. So it was rough in the wintertime if you didn't take the concept of the ants. In other words, put away stuff during the summer and fall. You just had a rough time during the winter.
Mm-hmm. Now you said $20 was that a you said a week, correct?
That's if you work 50 hours. You have to work 50 hours. You have to work 10 hours a day, 5 days a week for 30 cents an hour. That equals $20. 50 hours a week for 20
And
twenty
how much of
dollars.
that $20 would you use to manage your household? Like how was like because we already understand that economics was different then, so your dollar was worth more or than that time. So $20 was what equivalent to what $200 a week in today's time.
Well, really, I have to just assume and guess because of the status that we found ourselves in. When I mean we, I mean my brothers and sisters, because our mother passed away at a very young age. I was no more than one, probably one and a half, if that old. My younger brother was at childbirth when my mother passed away. So we was raised by our maternal grandmother and her husband, which was our stepfather. So all the money that we made went to them. So all of the things that I can say about money is hearsay because we didn't get paid; they got paid.
No, well, how much would $20 run? Would you say? Because you ran a household now. You're an old man now, so you know what it
I,
takes to facilitate a house. So experiencing in that time, because you know how much money spent back then, how
well,
much
one
or how what style of life would $20 a week allow you to provide? Would you? Because back then there
well,
wasn't no such thing as a middle class, so you couldn't say where your middle class is. You had money or you didn't have money
well,
back then.
back then, if you was an individual or if you was had a family, if you was the only one working, making $20 a week, well, you either pay $2.50 for rent or you pay $10 a month. However, you wanted to work it out with your landlord. That's basically what the rent was back in those days. $10 a month for a house. Of course, now you didn't have to worry about the utilities because for
Yeah,
a long time, a lot of people, us included, had oil lamps, so we had to buy some kerosene in order to put in the lamp so we'd have light at night. And so, and in the summer months when there was no farm work to be done, we would go to the sawmills and get the scrap lumber and stack up wood so we'd have heat for both warmth and for cooking in the wintertime. So we didn't have a heating bill, even if you was single. If you was a single person and just working a job, you would probably buy wood. So that would be another expense on you. I'm speaking from our experience. We went to and hauled our own wood, cut our own wood, stacked it up, and so we had wood, we had water, and we had to pay a water bill. I don't even know how much that was because the adults took care of that. But you pay your rent, and you was pretty much home free as long as you had food. We didn't have a
so basically, you would say that you would have to pretty much the same as today. You would spend pretty much roughly 75% of the money you earn to take care of your household, and then the 25% would be towards luxury items or savings or emergency or whatever.
yeah. Well, you didn't learn about economics. You learned about survival.
Well, no, I'm not
So
saying it like that. I'm just saying even like in today's standard, like majority of the time, you if you're living in today's society, you wouldn't be able to facilitate a house with a single income. Just like
now
back
it says you
then,
was making $600 a week now.
right?
You was bigger a minimum of a week and a half for your rent. So
Right. So that's
out of the month,
if you
that'd be
take
about
if you make $1,000 a week, that's $4,000 a month. Majority of the time, you're going to not live in a ran down apartment. Majority of apartments are what now?
it's going to be
Twelve hundred,
twelve to
twelve hundred
15,
dollars to
twelve,
$2,400. So you're
12
going to
to,
spend
I'm
roughly
just saying, $1,200 to $1,500. That's going to be a week and a half of your salary.
right.
But
So
but but now,
so I'm just saying
um,
you would say that economics in black society wouldn't have changed in that whole time. It's majority of
no,
your time is still spent working, right?
exactly. In some cases, economically, it was more beneficial to the black family back then than now
Right. So would you
because
agree then that even since before the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, that slavery was never ended in America? Or do you think that because we no longer have the title of slave that
well
we're no longer
slavery
service to the country?
slavery slavery never been ended since it started. However, people have the wrong concept. So people didn't bring Africans over here and start slavery.
Well, the Africans
Africans
was already over here as well, though.
exactly because they came over as indentured servants.
Well, they came over as people that had migrated here naturally.
Yeah, in different service. They could, if they had the money, they could
No, I'm
pay
talking
the
about they
people
was
that
here on
brought
the
them.
land before there were white people here on the land. But that's not the argument we were trying to make. I was just saying, like, even like since the creation of America, the black people of this land have always been in a position of servitude.
No, no, no. Before that there was slavery. Before that, even the British and the English and so forth came here. Black people was here history teaches us that black people was here 1,000 years before the white people came. See, you got a loving, uh, considerate, and compassionate heart and trusting people, and that's how they got over on the blacks. The thing of it is, once they got a hook in you and started the slavery thing, see, they even had the blacks fighting in the Civil War prior to the signing of the Emancipation, not Emancipation Proclamation, but the Constitution in 1776. But the we the people didn't include the black people.
Right.
But they didn't explicitly say that while they was getting it done. They were saying that we don't want to be taxed without representation. We want to be separated from the king. And once they got the Constitution signed, and then now they're saying, well, we are free, all except these black people. These black people's got to be our servants. And so the way that works, the way that I connect that to today is that as slaves, you was kept in chains and you was beaten and forced to work. It was punished, and you run away and they caught you. They would either chop off some of your limbs or either they would hang you. But they had a agreement with the community, the white community, business part of it. If your slave got killed or was hung by a mob or anything, the town people would pay you the value of your slave, so they didn't lose nothing.
So,
See,
Popo, can I ask you a question?
yeah,
What would you consider to be the most uh, detrimental problem that Black Americans face in society right now today?
well, the way I look at it is that what the black has to understand, the black people have to understand, you was born a problem. If you was born yesterday, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, you was born a problem because you was born black, and black is the problem. Not to the blacks themselves.
Hmm.
Black is not a problem to us. Black is a problem to all the other people of the world.
And why would you say this?
Anywhere you go, that you are disliked or shunned or looked down upon. But some way, somehow, there's something within you that allows you to tolerate this, even though you get upset, you get angry, and you get mad, but you still tolerate it. Even to the point where you can love your not adversary but oppressor.
Now, do you think that Black people can be racist?
Absolutely, black people are racist. So if you're a racist, you know everybody else is.
So, how many types of racism are there then?
How many types of people there are?
So, everybody has a
Absolutely,
their own form of racism.
absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely.
And where do
Even
you get these examples from? Can you show me an example of other people practicing racism other than white
yeah,
people?
yeah. I can show you an example. I was talking to Ethiopian. I forget what year it was. They was having the football tournaments out in L.A. What they call football is what they call soccer, or whatever it is that they do over there. But the two last teams standing was Ethiopia and Ghana. Now, Ethiopians got some really black people, but they got a bunch bunch of light skinned people, and even the black people's got a decent grade of hair. But in Ghana, they most of the you can't hardly find no black white people, light skinned people, I should say.
So they were practicing racism by playing a
No,
soccer game.
I'm tell you what I experienced. Cause I was talking to the guy. He was getting ready to go. I was working on his computer or something. He was in my office, and we were just talking while I was working. And he was getting ready to go to California to this game. And I said, it'd be hard for you to know who to pull for since both countries is from Africa. He said, oh no, it's not hard for me to pull for. I said, why? He said, because they black. This is a black person talking about a black person.
Okay.
I'm not gonna pull for them because they black. That's like you're not. I tell you a concept: the blood and the Crips.
That has nothing to do with races.
Huh?
That has nothing to do with races. But back to your soccer game. So
I'm
you
talking.
were saying that it was a black person who was
I'm
not
talking
voting
about a
for it,
concept.
rooting for
I'm
a
talking
black
about
person.
you have to listen. I'm talking about a concept. To explain something, you have to use some kind of concept that you get an understanding.
Right.
I'm saying that two black groups hating on each other.
Well, where is the oppression at? Like what? Well, maybe more actually this question then. Well, what if you had to define it? How would you define racism?
How would I define racist?
Racism. It's the action
Racism,
itself. Like
race,
what is
racism,
racism?
racism is exactly what you find that's happened to the black race. They are hated and despised for no reason. That's racism. No reason. You riding down the street and there goes some niggas.
So
A car
racism
load.
is people like
Yeah, you see.
that's the only way that they practice racism is they go around and they have to specifically name
No,
black
no,
people.
that's not. No, that's not the only way. You ever heard of redlining?
Yes, I know what redlining is. If you
Redlining, redlining is when you can't get a loan for a house in a certain area.
mm-hmm.
It's when you can buy a house in North Aurora, but you can't buy one in South Aurora.
And how did the cheering for the football team affect the people of buying houses in those countries?
How did it?
You said that the man was practicing racism because he was not going to cheer for the black people on the other football team, and I was wondering how does that prevent them from buying houses due to redlining?
This is a concept. This is all over the country. This is even in South Africa. That's some places that black people can't buy in their own black country because of the status of the people.
Right, but
So
they're cheering for a football team. How is cheering for the football team going? So if he were to cheer for the football team, would they be able to buy houses?
no, no. The thing of it is for a reason. Okay, here's the thing. Before they allowed blacks to play on professional sports, a lot of blacks watched it because they played sports off to themselves. But a lot of whites didn't bother to watch the blacks because they didn't care for the blacks.
So
That's
you're
because of
saying that
racism.
racism is around because black people are good at sports?
No, racism is around because black people is black because of the color of your skin. There was a black dude got killed down on 16th Street, down 16th Street Mall, and when the guy pulled out his gun to shoot him, he some sort of apologized to him. He's only shooting him because he got on the wrong uniform.
Okay.
And he was a RTD bus driver, and everybody wore those. So what he finally confessed to once they broke him down is because he was black.
So are there any difference other than black? Because what is black?
black is a concept also. Black is what they call you. There are some blue black people. But all peoples are not black. Just like no peoples is white
So can a white person be black?
in the heart. Yeah,
No, I'm talking about like how we just have these teachers that are resigning because they are pretending like they were black people when their parents weren't
there
black.
there are some. There are some, and the book is black like me by Howard Griffith, I believe it is.
So do you accept those black people who ancestry you don't share as black people? Because
Absolutely,
so
absolutely, absolutely. You have to be able to accept all of God's children. You don't have to commingle with them. You don't have to socialize with them. You don't have to live with them. You
so
you expect them as respect them as human beings. If you see them in trouble, then you can give them a helping hand. A helping hand means that if the car won't start, you can give them a jump start. If they're out of fuel, if you can get them some fuel or give them some fuel, you do. If they're hungry, you give them a sandwich or something. That's out of the goodness of your heart. But you have nothing else to do with them. You don't have to go home with them to have dinner with them. You don't have to socialize with them. You don't have to sit and have a beer with them. You just
well,
treat them as
if anybody can be black, then how do black people stop being black if white people can benefit by living in a
you
white life
can't.
and by
You,
having black benefits?
you're not going to ever stop being black. You come from the Cushites, which is part of the beginning of the Adam and Eve's family and generation, according to biblical history, and that's the Cushites down the east African coast.
So you
So,
want
so
so you believe that being us as black people are cursed by God and that there's nothing that we could do other than breathe oxygen and let white people brutalize them?
no. You was born the way that you was born, and if you believe in your biblical teaching, you believe in the Bible. You were the only race of people can endure.
Right, but you just said that another race of people can join within you and take your spot.
I never said that.
You said that you accepted white people who would pretend to be black people, like Rachel Dolezal or the other people who are pretending to be black.
I'm saying that you accept all people as human beings.
So,
You,
would you say
you
that your religion comes before your race?
religion is what?
Would your religion come before your race?
Well, I don't know if you call it religion, your
Well, you should say. She
beliefs,
said, "Accept the
beliefs,
child of
your
God." Like
so
if
your
the
spiritual.
as
No,
Rachel
your
Dolezal wanted to be black, so she'd put on the black face.
no, your race comes your your race comes from your inception. See, your inception begins at the point of conception. Now, back to tying it to biblical. In Revelation, in the 6th chapter, it talks about when people leave this earth, they don't immediately go to heaven, but go to hell. The ones that die in the name of Jesus goes to a
But we're not
altar.
talking about people who are dead. We're talking
Wait a
about
minute.
people
Wait a
alive.
minute. Let me explain this to you. See, don't when I try to explain something, I'm going on a train of thought. And if you cut me off, I can't make sense out of what I'm trying to explain. They, I'm saying that at death, they are on the altar, spiritual altar, according to the Bible. Now, back to the conception of your child, being a black child at conception. And here's where the woman comes in, and the woman is so important because you look at it as I was talking about the sixth chapter of Revelation about being under the altar. Now that seed in that woman's body, this is in her womb. The womb is underneath her heart. Now the child is developing underneath the altar of his mother's heart. That's the beginning. And when he embark upon the world, when he's born black, and he'll die black. He can be like try to be like Rachel or anybody else, or like this Walter guy that I was just talking about that took all the injections to be black so he could go live in the South to see how blacks was treated.
So how do
But
black people solve the issue of race?
you can't. Yes, it's something that the God, your Holy Spirit has to do. The only way
So
that you can,
the only
the
thing
only
that
way,
can stop racism is the God.
no, yeah, but you can't ever stop it. You can't. It's always has been. The only way that you can do this thing is to equalize it. And the only way you can equalize it is through education.
So do you think that black people deserve reparations or entitled to specific benefits from the United States government on their behalf and only for their
Entitled,
behalf?
entitled.
Yes, entitled.
I don't know. I don't know.
Wouldn't
Well,
would you say
you've
that?
been. The thing of it
Would you
is,
say that wouldn't it not be an entitlement when we have set aside rules for segmented people of society
let,
in which we
let me
live?
ask you. Let me see if I can answer you this way. Do you think the state of Colorado owes you reparations for the 12 years that you spent with them?
That would be a different story because
No. It's a concept. It's a concept. I'm not talking about it in reality. I'm,
well,
I'm, I'm asking a question. You was in a situation that you couldn't get out. Okay, it's like you born black. You can't change that. You was in this
right.
situation.
But
You
I
couldn't get
chose
out.
my. But I made judgments in my life and that entitled
That's
me to
that's
go
the
into that position. What
that's
judgments
right.
did the black people make them entitle them into their position?
No, what you do is you educate yourself how
But
to.
you still never inform me
Well,
because
see,
for me to
you
go to
can't
spend
interview.
no
You
because
can't interview. You can't
we
interview
gotta
me
we
and
have to
not
keep
let
it
me
the
talk to
same
you.
though. We have to keep it the
You
same. You
can't
asked me a
interview.
question on if me spending the time in the state
Okay,
prison
we'll talk
system.
later. We'll talk later. Then I can't answer the question without you arguing. And your podcast ain't gonna work very well if this way you're gonna handle it.
Well, we've been talking for 28 minutes. I haven't interrupted you longly. And
Well, you,
you interjected in with this, and I was just, we
well,
have to keep it
I'm the
the
one that's
same as
being. I'm the
same.
one that's being interviewed. I'm the one that's being asked the question. I'm not interjecting. I'm trying to answer. And when I
Right.
get to a
And all
point,
I just asked
when
was,
I get
what
to a
was the
high,
beginning
Chad, listen
aspect
for a
that got
minute.
black people in the
When
situation?
I get to a point where I'm trying to make a point and you interject, you have to learn how to interview without interrupting the answer. You got a good mind. You can remember what's being said, and after the answer is given, then you can do the rebuttal. You have to challenge, and then you have to be able to rebut. But
Okay.
in order to challenge, in order to challenge something and rebut it, you have to be able to listen to it.
I
You can't
appreciate your
interject it.
critique and your criticism, and I will take that under advisement. The
Well, you
question that
should
was posed to
if you
you
want to make
was
if you want to make this thing
how did
successful.
black people get into this predicament? What was their
You're
sin to
born
the
into
God?
it. You was born into it. However many years ago when you was born black. You can't escape that. You
Right.
got a
So
black.
black people were chosen by God to be punished, so they are the whipping sticks
Obviously,
of the earth.
obviously, you can't change that because who would you change with? Who would you rather be black than you?
So you do not believe you believe that everything that black people have went through in their entire existence has been justified?
I didn't know. Justified and predestined is two different things. This
Well,
is your predestined life is your predestined life. Doesn't mean it's justified. No.
so black people do not deserve equal treatment, is what you're saying.
Who said that?
You said that.
When?
When you said that black people are the designated whipping post for the world.
Well, what they had to do with being justified?
I said treated equally. You said that black people do not deserve to be treated equal?
When did I say that?
When you said that black people were the whipping post of the world.
That has nothing to do with people not. See that's how things get twisted, and then your viewership start to fall off because you have to follow. That's why you debate and discuss things before you go into an interview, because you just can't flip it to what you want it to be. You
No,
know,
I'm just
any
keeping
any
it the
any
same.
any situation got several different approaches to it.
Okay. Well, what
So
are the
you
approaches
can't
that
you
led
can't
black
you
people
can't
into
choose
the
the one that you
predicament?
think is the one that you like. So this whole thing is going to be leaning toward you and your thoughts, and
Well, I
you're
asked
using
you
your
if there was a
interview.
solution to the problems that face black
There ain't
people, and
no
you said there
solution to
are
being
none.
black. You are born black. Get that
Right.
in your head. You was born black. And if you think you need reparation because you was born black, you have to deal with that.
Well,
And
what
you have
about
to
the
go and you have
atrocities
to
of the history of the country that came from uh,
you
the
have to do the
slavery
same
and
thing.
segregation
You
and
have to do the
Jim
same thing
Crow?
to the white race as the white race did to you.
So
The
we have
white
to.
race
When
raised you.
was the
The
right?
white
So we
race
should
robbed
enslave the
you
white people,
of
is what
your
you're saying?
the white race rob you of your inheritance. They rob you of your history. They rob you of whatever financial fortunes that should have been left to you. And you don't, and they have all the power to keep you from ever getting it. That's why when Muammar Gaddafi tried to give Jesse Jackson $1 billion to help the black people in America, the U.S. government said, if you give it to him, we're going to take it away from him. He will not have a dime of it. And not only that, we'll find a reason to press some charges. He'll be locked up for the rest of his life. If Reverend Jackson couldn't take that $1 billion, not a million, billion.
Mm-hmm.
That was many years ago. So you have to figure out a way to take from them the same way that they did all the Rockefellers and the Kennedys and all these people. They didn't get all this money by being honest. The cotton farmers, they didn't get all this money by being honest and having you out there picking cotton and chopping cotton. While you was picking cotton and chopping cotton,
So,
they
do
were
you believe that the people who are out protesting should stop protesting and go back to?
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But
Because
if
that's
there's no way to change the plight of the
but
black
see,
people, then
but
what is the point of the
what
protesting?
no, but you have to know what you're protesting for. See, people have been protesting for civil rights for many years.
So,
My
what are
thought is
civil rights?
my thoughts are you should be protesting for equal rights. Because if you get equal rights, you
But you
can
said
create
that
your
black
own.
people don't deserve to be
You,
treated equal.
who's saying that?
You said that.
You crazy? Why would I say that?
Papa, you just said that
No,
black people
no,
do not
no.
deserve
Why
to
would
be
I say
treated
something?
equally
Why should I say something so idiotic? Is that you
because we
deserve
are
anything
born
that you can
black.
get? Anything that you can get to uplift you and your community, you deserve it. Anything that you can get,
But you just said
you
that black
deserve it.
people
Why
do
would
not
I say?
deserve reparations for being black and the
No,
atrocities of
I
history of
didn't say.
slavery
No,
and
I
racial
said what
injustice in
you
America.
see. You won't listen. So
So do
you'll
black
never
people?
be
So should
successful
black
in this
people
thing.
receive specific tangible benefits set aside specifically for them?
What you need to do is get you some books and study up on this thing to help you expand your thinking, because the way that you're thinking is not going to advance your program.
But
See,
I did ask you this
you
question
got a
twice
good
already, Papa, and
you got a good idea, so you
you
got to try to
you
figure out a way to
continue.
expand it. And if you can't dialogue and you can't debate back and forth and respect somebody else's argument, and still be able to challenge it, you're not going to be successful.
I thank you for your critique again. Now, do you believe that black people are deserved special set asides? If you want to say reparations, we can call it
No, I don't think
reparations.
that. No, no. Put this down for me. No, I don't think they deserve a dime. If they don't earn it, they don't deserve not a dime. No.
But what about the monies? What
If
about
they
the
won't
atrocities
educate
in the
if they won't
histories?
educate
So,
themselves, if they won't stand up, then you shouldn't try to get them up.
but what about how the system is designed to keep them down? If the system was born on them being
That's
down,
why you have to educate yourself to challenge the system. You
how
can't
can
just
you
complain
challenge
about the
educate to?
system.
And what type of education is needed to challenge this system?
Well, nobody's different. I mean, nobody's the same. No two people is the same. Everybody can't be sociologists. Everybody can't be archaeologists. Everybody can't be preachers, bishops.
So then, what is
Everybody
the
can't be.
information most needed
Everybody can't be bank.
to
Everybody can't
advance
be
in
bank
society?
presidents. Everybody can't be senator. So it's different education. Wherever your interest lies. If your interest lies in reparation, that's where you need to concentrate your education.
But you
So
don't believe that black people are deserving of
everybody
reparations.
if everybody got the milk and you got it and you want some milk, you have to figure out how to get the milk. You just can't sit and complain about them having all the milk and not giving you none. You got
Okay,
to figure out
well,
how to get you some.
well,
That's the
you
same thing
said
about
that the
reparation.
reparation. You said that the black person's plight is because of being born black due to the God factor. What is it that black people can do to appease the God to alleviate the the dangers of being black?
Why you keep saying about? See, you change the things that you can. The things that you can't change, you learn to accept them. Being black is something that's not. It's not debatable. It's not a debatable issue by being black.
I'm
You
not
are
debating
black.
you
You were
about being
born
black.
black. You're gonna die
I'm
black.
just wondering.
You're
I'm
gonna grow
asking you
old
questions
black.
on how,
Everything
as
you're
we as
gonna
a
go.
society, can change the
It don't
outlook
matter.
from
It
other
does not
people.
matter. It does not matter.
So black
You
people can be the best,
you be
most
black.
educated people
You
in the
gonna
world, and they should still
listen.
be
You just be
disadvantaged.
when you die. You're gonna be a dead black man because you ain't gonna change. You're gonna be black, so that you can get that out your mind. See,
So all I'm saying is
reparation.
this, Paul. Even
Separate reparation from I'm black. I'm black. You can't change it. You don't have to tell nobody you black. All they gotta do is look.
but everybody. So once again, you say that. Well, I agree because you just said that
You can't
everybody can
change
be
that,
black. Then, right?
and you can't even advance this conversation until you accept the fact that you black and can't change it.
But
See
what
that,
about the
and
people
that's the
that
thing.
aren't black that can change
You
it
haven't been able
and
to
join the black? Don't you?
you haven't been able to accept the fact that you're a black man. You have to accept that.
Well,
You
Papa,
have
well,
to
what is the
accept the fact
benefit of
that you
being
not,
a
it ain't
black
gonna
person
change.
if a non-black person can hold my title?
The non-black person has nothing to do with you.
But
You have to
but
accept you.
what is the benefit of the title of being a black person
All the
if a
things that
non-black person
all
can
the
be
things
black?
that all the things that you admire about a person, you have to find within yourself, with
Mm-hmm.
the exception of changing the color of your skin. All the things that you admire,
But why
you
are
find
other
it
groups of
within
people
yourself.
allowed to change the color of their skin and we
Once
are
you find
not?
that within yourself, then you can accept the fact that you were born a black man, you're gonna die a black man.
But
You can't change
why
that,
would you
and then
impose
your
rules
interest lies in
on people that
reparation.
are one
Then
way but not on
you have to
everybody?
educate yourself to the fact of join the group of people that's fighting. There are some people out there that's fighting for reparation.
And who are
You have
these
to
groups of people that you
you have
know
to
of?
join that group that's fighting for reparation.
Do you
But
know any
listen,
of them per se?
there'll be people, your children will be still fighting for reparation when you are long gone. So
And do you know of any of these
the thing
groups
of
of
it is,
organizations that fight for
you
the
want
causes of
somebody,
reparations?
you got it in the back of your mind that somebody need to cut you a check, and that ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen.
So, what about specific set asides in laws, like being
No,
a
no,
protected class of
no.
people, like, say, certain other groups of protected citizens?
They, what you need to be thinking about. Going all the way from the beginning of slavery and up to today, and then you have to sit down and analyze. But you can't analyze this unless you know some history about how you got here and the reason why all the black people is getting killed now. Black
Well, you
Lives
said
Matter.
it was the decision of God that made black people get killed.
See, I have to be able to say what I'm going to say instead of being cut off. See, once you cut off, that means tell me that you're not listening to what I'm saying. You want to interject what you have to say. So what I'm saying is that's blowing in the wind.
Okay.
See,
So then, what was the reason why black people are in the plight? What started it?
now what they're doing now is that they don't have an economy where they need a lot of strong backs. They got computers, the electronics. They got all these things to replace the all this electronic equipment and stuff to replace all these black people. So the young black people is being killed off because too many of them becomes too dangerous to society. Now, the same thing with this coronavirus now. They got people thinking, well, it's all right. You don't have to wear no mask. You don't have to social distance. You don't have to do this. You follow the scriptures again. It's the same thing that happened in the scriptures when these people couldn't fight these people because they said these people is too strong. They're too big. So the guy said, listen, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go in their village and we're gonna let them know, let all the men know that it's imperative, without a doubt, they have to be circumcised. They got to be circumcised. They can't. They took on this thing and they couldn't. They didn't stop until they got everybody in the village to agree to be circumcised. They circumcised all these grown men, and they waited 3 days, and they were so sore they couldn't walk. Then
Uh,
they went in. They went in and conquered them.
well,
They
Papa, you
went in.
said you were getting ready to have to go, so let's continue on with this conversation and get closer towards the end. Um,
Right.
so being that black people aren't entitled with specific set asides, and I'm already know that you're voting for Joe Biden. What benefit is black people supposed to expect from a Joe Biden and presidency?
Well, if you expect something, why don't you come up with something and introduce it into the lexicon, into the conversation?
Okay.
Something that you think that should be ex, ex, examined or expounded upon.
Okay.
See
Well,
that,
let's phrase the question a different way. Then let's phrase the question a different way.
you
What
want
would be the
you want.
benefits of not of Trump no longer being the president?
It all depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for somebody to give you an idea that you're going to accept, nobody knows what you're going to accept. That's why you have to put your own idea out there.
I mean, well, what has Donald Trump as the president of the United States currently in his first administration? What is the negatives of his administration? What has he done negatively?
He lied. He tried to cancel Obama's insurance that he got for all these people that's got cancer. That's now with a million people with the coronavirus. He's in court right now today trying to cancel Obamacare, which takes care of pre-existing condition. They got over a million people right now that's recovering from coronavirus. They don't have to be dead. They have it. That means that they got a pre-existing condition. That means that they can't have insurance, and he's trying to cancel it right now. That's just one thing.
Okay, and what is another thing?
Well, why you need a whole bunch of? What's wrong with that? You got babies that can't take care of themselves. They get kicked off the insurance. You got old people, infirmities, can't take care of themselves, get kicked off the insurance. Why you need a whole list of things? Ain't that enough when you sacrificing the lives of one life? But he's sacrificing the lives of a million, and ain't doing nobody and let them still getting sick and carrying them out and having rallies with a bunch of people gathered together. That's ludicrous. That's stupid.
Well, grandfather, I'm a healthy, young, inspired person that is fully employed with medical
Today,
benefits.
today,
But
today
I
you
have,
are.
but today he's the president and it hasn't changed. So I've always had my medical benefits. So I don't see that as a negative because I don't. I've always been able
Because
to pay my medical insurance.
listen. You can go to work in the morning and your boss can say we don't no longer need you. That means that your benefits stop. not only for you, for your family, your immediate family. If you got a wife and a house full of kids, they all stop there. One man make one decision that
Right, but I can
over your
also
life.
I also have
You
had that
can't buy
happen
you can't
before,
buy no
and I've
interest.
gotten a
You can't
job
buy
that.
no interest if Trump wins in court. He's in court now.
Why?
He's
I
in
don't have any
Denver.
pre-existing conditions. I do not have
Denver
anything that would
just
bar me from getting medical insurance.
yes, it will.
What? I have no pre-existing conditions. I am healthy. I do not smoke, and I'm not on
if
heavy
if
drugs.
if you had we talked about people with the coronavirus.
I'm
We're not talking
talking
about the
about
ones that's
me and my
extremely
personal
blessed. Well,
self
see, you
because,
that's selfish. That's selfish. You talking about
well, you
because
just told me earlier
I
if you don't have it, it's your fault. If you can't get it, that's your fault. Wait.
well
Well, I have it. I can get it. So,
that's selfish also. That's selfish also. That's
but
your fault. How you gonna be? How you gonna? If you're talking about reparation, you just talking about reparation for yourself.
but you just said that I should not look about reparations. Well, I have
No,
health insurance and I have the
I'm saying,
ability to get
are you
health
talking about
insurance,
reparations
and
for yourself?
I'm not
If
having
you're talking
anybody
about
standing in my
reparations
way
for
to get health
yourself,
insurance. We have people
that means that
standing in our
you're
way
just
to get
concerned with
reparations.
one check. You ain't concerned with a check for your community. You
I
ain't
do not
concerned with
believe
a
that
check for your
reparations should only be a check. Yes, I believe that there should be a very large check, but there also
no.
should be very exclusive benefits.
No, expand your mind. You're too narrow-minded.
Well,
Think about
Papa,
what
if I
you
have
think
to
about.
get it on
I'll
my
tell you what you.
own
I'll
and
tell you
get
what
it
you do.
how I live, then
Take
why
your
is
podcast
somebody
and
taking
rewind
away
it.
health benefits that I
Take
don't
your
have to worry
podcast and
about
rewind it
a
and listen to
detriment to me?
what you're saying. Okay, and then
Well,
we'll talk about this thing later.
what is another detriment other than health
Okay,
insurance
goodbye.
that the
Sign
president
off.
has enacted? Now, I didn't hang up. He did. This is the Dred Scott Podcast.